Hello, my name is Nathan Tarantula. I hunt the chupacabra. The story you're about to hear is true. Names have been changed to protect the innocent and to protect the places where these incidents have occurred. I got this email from a man who described himself only as an oil worker. Okay, it's in Texas. I was not able to verify the details, but like all the other material I get, I have to assume that it's truthful and correct. I mean, why would they send it to me? Anyways, here it is. I work on pump jacks in Texas, in Zapata country. There aren't many people around here. It's a lot of desert and a lot of worthless wasteland. I do reconditioning and maintenance on these pumps all over Texas, some of them 50 years old and still pumping oil. Since almost no one is in Zapata, especially out by the pumps, the ground around the platform looks like the floor of a busy garage that has never been cleaned. There's lots of old crap around, lots of gray and black spots where oil is spilled, little fires have started and been put out. Chemicals have been burning and leaching into the soil for decades. It's a pretty nasty little place around these old pumps, but nobody cares. It's way out in the country, way out in the desert. Nobody ever sees it. Out of sight, out of mind. I would have sent a picture, but I can't take photographs of these areas. It's in my contract with the company. But I had to tell somebody about this. Well, anyways, this happened early morning. I came up to the Pumpjack on my list around sunrise. That was the first one. Something moved around on the other side of the base of the Pumpjack, which is not that uncommon. Jackrabbit or a coyote. I didn't think much of it at the time. These animals are all over, and this particular Pumpjack had a little fence around it, probably because of incidents with cattle and steers, or maybe wild animals got in and died, who knows. But it had a little hurricane-like fence around it. Anyway, I got my tools out, found the grease fittings and all the stuff on the rig that I had to work on, started my job. A couple hours later, I took a break and went out to my truck to get my coffee thermos. Now, my truck was parked maybe 20, maybe 15 feet away from the fence. When I got out there, something had gotten into my truck. I didn't bother to lock it. I mean, I'm out here in the flat sage and creosote land. I didn't lock it. Whoop-de-doo. And the window was open. Something got in it. Now this is way out in the middle of fucking nowhere. So, what could it have been? Rabbit? Jackrabbit? Sage hen? Coyote? Armadillo? Had to be something like that, right? And then I saw the glove compartment was open. And my lunch, my ham sandwich, had been eaten up. Whatever got it didn't like the lettuce, because that was on the seat on the bottom of the truck. On the floor was the bread. Looks like there was some saliva dripping down, and a piece of tomato was on the ground outside. Apparently whatever ate it didn't like those things. What the fuck? I was just mad because I didn't have a sandwich and I was hungry. But at least I had my coffee. So I poured myself a cup and I tried to figure this thing out. Now there wasn't anything around for miles except that Pumpjack. I mean, there's no rocks. It's all flat. Sage, creosote, not even a bush big enough to squat behind. The only place anything could hide had to be right the fuck under that fucking Pumpjack, under the wooden base. Now maybe it'll help if I describe what a Pumpjack is. This is an elevated platform with a wooden base up on metal stilts about 4 or 5 feet, and is accessed, and this one, after you go through the fence and you go up a little steel stairs, right? Now, the mechanism for the pump goes through the floor, and it's working all the time. Ka-thump, 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 ka-thump. And you can see through the floor, because it's all weathered boards. This particular Pumpjack was probably at least 30 years old, so there are big old dark cracks that you could see down in there. And I'm walking around, and the thing's working, and thump, thump, thump. But it's all black down there. No light gets down there. And the sides, they're kind of covered up with this sheet metal and old wood paneling that had been nailed on and clipped over the years in a haphazard way. Lots of different holes in it. I mean, these things are popular homes for animals, especially jackrabbits and coyotes and armadillos. They get in there, they find a home, usually don't think nothing of it. So I was figuring it was something like that, got in there. Now I was paying attention to my job, so it must have got out, got in the truck, somehow pawed open the glove compartment, got it out, got my food out and ate it. And apparently I have to guess it either skittered off and is hiding low in some dip in the ground around, or it went back under the pump jack. Now, of course, I ain't never known of a coyote that opens a car door or a glove compartment. I don't think a rabbit could do it, and I don't know of any armadillo that's even smart enough to be attracted to a ham sandwich. So I started to think, as I went back to work, I started to think more and more what it could be, and I figured it was a fucking wetback. Some poor motherfucker had to be lost in the fucking outback of fucking broiling Texas desert, and he probably crawled under the only bit of shade he could see for miles around, which was under the floor of this pump jack which I was standing on. Well, I walked back up on that platform, on that big old cracked wooden deck. I started banging on the floor with my boot, dropping tools, yelling, "Hey, motherfucker, come on out, I won't hurt you, just get the hell away from here before you get hurt," stuff like that. Because honestly, I had no anger toward hurting him. I just wanted to get him out. And, well, to tell you the truth, I was going to call the police as soon as I got back into town so they could come and check this thing out, because he is probably illegal. So anyways, I started doing stuff like that, banging and rattling all over the place. Nothing happened, nothing came out, didn't hear a noise, not a word. I kept doing that, and I might give him 10 minutes to it, and then I figured, the hell with this, I'm going to go back to work. After some time had passed, worked for about another maybe 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, off and on, kind of watching that floor every once in a while. And I just kept staring at the bottom of that pump jack, where the underneath the floor, around the edge there, and I noticed there were lots of little holes and bigger holes, and all dark under there. So I went and I got my gun. Now I keep my gun in my truck under the seat in this cheap little tin box with a cheap little lock on it, right? Just for safety's sake. Now it wouldn't take nothing to break that box open if somebody wanted what was inside. Now, that made me wonder, if there was a person who ate my sandwich, why didn't they get that gun? I should have thought more about that at the time, but I didn't really think about it too hard. I was just glad I had the gun. So I sat in the truck sweating, staring at the pump jack. Still had work to do. I was too far out to get a hold of anybody on the radio. My cell phone was just not going to work in this part of the country. My toolbox and ladder were still on top of the deck up there. And then it dawned on me. I must have left the truck door cracked open for a coyote to come along. And maybe the glove compartment wasn't shut right, so the little bugger got in, he started sniffing around and poking, and plop, bang, gnaw, there. And spitting out the tomatoes, well, it kind of makes sense. I don't know, I don't think coyotes like tomatoes. I started feeling a lot better, but I was still hungry. Anyways, I went back to work. Still couldn't see under the platform, though. I walked around it once, kind of like looking in there, and it was too dark to see anything. I went and crawled up on top of that thing again, went up to where I was working, grabbed some tools, started to get back to work. And I was up there checking another fitting, getting ready to do a little bit more work, and the hair in the back of my arms started coming up. And I heard this noise, like something rubbing somewhere. And it wasn't coming from the pump jack, because that thing's always going, making that noise all the time. But you just get used to that. So if some other noise comes along, it kind of sticks out, even though it's in that noise of the And I tell you, the hair on the back of my neck and all along my arms started coming up. And I had the funniest feeling I ever had in my life. Now I was standing on this little short ladder about 3 feet up off the deck of the Pumpjack, leaning over working. But when I heard that noise, I kind of stopped, looked around, tried to be as quiet as I could, held my breath, and listened some more. Then I started looking under the cracks underneath the ladder. The crack between the Pumpjack where it went through the deck and down into the ground. There are big holes there that you could see in there and down there, but they're nothing but black under that floor. You couldn't see a damn thing, especially working in the sun with my eyes all in the glare all day. When I looked under there, it was like ink in there. Couldn't see a thing. Now, I'm no pussy. I did a stint in the Marines, played football, ain't no big dancer, and my house looks kind of messy. I even got a fucking truck and blocks in the front yard. I hunt and I fish. But right then, the thing that was consuming every single thought was not my work at the moment. I look at my arms and the hairs were standing up, and I heard that funny sound again, like a rubbing, like hide rubbing against wood or steel, just a whisper, right? And then it'd get quiet in the thump-bum, thump-bum of the Pumpjack. And my only thoughts were, first, how thick were the wooden planks on that deck, and how old were they, and how big were the cracks between those planks. And I found that I couldn't get my eyes away from looking at those old gray weathered boards. And I was really glad I was standing on a little ladder about 3 feet above it. Somehow I managed to finish my job. I don't remember exactly too much about how I did it or how good a job it was that day, but I got it done. Then I had to get off the ladder and get to my truck. And I was going to have to make at least 2 trips to get all my tools. I got down off the ladder, gingerly walked across that deck, down the metal stairs, out of the little fenced-in section, shut it, latched it, carried the first load of tools to my truck, put them in, then headed back. Now my little step ladder was up there. The little 3-foot step ladder I used was still up there. And as I approached the Pumpjack, as soon as I opened up that little fence to step inside, I swear that little ladder moved just a little bit, like something underneath it had pushed it. Now from where I could see, I couldn't see anything on top of the deck. Just a little too high for eye level. I shut the fence, walked up the little steel stairs going to the top of the deck, stepped onto the deck itself. Nothing out of the ordinary. Thump bump, as the Pumpjack kept working. I was watching those cracks underneath my boots as I walked across that deck. Ink, blackness, nothing, no light went under there. Got all the way across. I was sweating like a son of a bitch. It's hot in Texas. You get used to it and you sweat. But this sweat was nothing like the normal sweat that I'm used to sweating. And it had a stink to it. It had a smell. That smell was fear. And that scared me again, more than anything else. Now, you got to understand. You got to understand. Part of my duties on these pump jacks was to take a final inspection and report to my company exactly how it looked. There's forms to fill out. Every once in a while, Texas, you get a coyote under there, or a skunk, or some kind of critter that takes up residence and does not want to be evicted. And again, that is supposed to be part of my duties. So anyways, after a few minutes, kind of got my wits back. I thought I was just being silly. It's just an animal. Or it's a Mexican. Maybe a Mexican family is under there. And either, whatever the case is, I was going to have to go and take a look and figure it all out. Else I wouldn't be doing my job. That would be wrong. So I picked up my ladder. Now I reached down to grab my toolbox. Damned if I didn't hear that sound again. And this time it kind of rattled me. That sound of hide or hair rubbing against rough wood. And this time it was really close. Or at least I thought it was close. And it startled me. Jumped up. Bang! Hit my elbow on that goddamn counterweight of that pump jack. Now my hand released, of course, and I dropped that toolbox. BAM! Right there on the deck. Tools fell out. Spare parts rolled across the deck. And my cigarettes bounced onto the wood of that platform. And I'm looking at all this mess. I felt like an idiot, of course. So the coyote under the fucking platform. Whoop-de-doo. Scared the shit out of big old me. So now I was kind of pissed at myself. So I pick up the tools. I reach down, grab my cigarettes. And this little hairy hand with crinkly black fingers came out of the crack that our hand was closest to and reached for that fucking pack of cigarettes. Now, to this day, that moment runs through my head over and over and over again. This little hand seemed flat, like it had too much skin, or it was in a glove, or something like skin was folded back on it. I'm not sure how to describe it. It wasn't no human hand. It wasn't no coyote, no fox, rabbit, skunk, wildcat. It wasn't no damn monkey either. It wasn't no Mexican, that's for damn sure. It reached out for just a second there, like it was reaching for my cigarettes through the crack. Well, I got off that deck faster than anything. I don't even know if I used the little metal stairs leading up to it. I don't even know if I used the little gate in the fence. I might have bolted right over it at that point. By the time I was back in my truck, I was sopping wet with sweat and my chest was hammering like I had a bomb in my heart and it was going to go off. As I drove away, I got the shakes. I had to pull over, and I puked my guts up for the next 20 minutes. It was the first day I falsified paperwork for the company.